we have a question here that says that why the demon that Mahishasur-Mardini is killing is depicted as a buffalo. Why the buffalo?
Awesome. So buffalo's milk is so valuable, full of so much potential energy. But buffaloes have been demonized. And I feel it's because of their appearance. And therefore, there's that song which I love to sing whenever I talk about Mahishasur-Mardini. This is a song of the 1960s. Mere bhains ko danda kyun mara, tere baap ko wo kya karti thi. This song could never come up in any other for the cow. It can only come up for a buffalo. It means, why did you hit the danda on my pants? Pants means buffalo. What did she do of your fathers that you're troubling my pants so much? And this song was made and was very popular and was picturized on Mahmood, a comedian. Mere bhains ko danda kyun mara, tere baap ko wo kya karti thi. So this I was thinking very often that it can only be said about a bhains. But I want to also share over here that Mahishasur-Mardini in Madhya Pradesh is actually called Bhaisasura-Mardini. That is, use the word Bhaisa. Don't even use the word Mahisha, because people might get confused. Who is Mahisha? Bhaisa is the buffalo. So yes, the buffalo has been demonized by our society.
But Nilima, we can also see that a very appreciated animal in the society, like the elephant,
he becomes a demon. A demon entering the skin of the elephant. So it's not that is only the buffalo. Is also the demons can take all kinds of shapes, as we see how the demons are all over, and it's not. It's only that Mahishasur-Mardini is so popular, as Nilima was saying,
but
that
Stella, the serrated horns of the buffalo are seen in the Neolithic period in India. You can see the horns of the buffalo in the Indus Valley civilization. There is something about the buffalo.
But the buffalo,
there is some mystique around the buffalo.
Has these horns and these
horns, and serrated. Serrated. Yeah, not plain horns, serrated. That's very important. The lines are there. Everyone is doing this. Yes.
Anyway, it's
also a person, Sheetal Bhan, she has been, messaging me directly. Please, Sheetal, you could come and talk to. Where are you? I can't see you, Sheetal Bhan.
Yeah, she's here. Sheetal is here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for all these 3 days. The talks were amazing, very informative. I just wanted to say two things. One, when people were talking about how Radha and Kali are different, but if we look at them in terms of the aggression and the intensity of the different forms of their love, which both stem from Vatsalya, and which both stem from Prem. The aggression with which Radha's love is almost warrior-like. Like if there were weapons that you could hold to love someone, I'm sure Radha would have those weapons. And in that sense, she is no different from Mahishasur-Mardini. In terms of Vatsalya, and Mahishasur-Mardini is also all the rage and all the anger and all the violence also stems from her love for whatever creation is being destroyed. So I think that's one thing that I wanted to kind of share. The other thing that I wanted to share was people were talking about the divine masculine and divine feminine energies. And from what I have learned and whatever research I have done, I have come to realize that the masculine and the feminine that we speak of in these terms, we are not speaking of gender, because energy has no gender, but any kind of creation process that happens outside of your being or within your being in the universe needs two things. One, it needs creativity. The other, it needs a sort of structure. So if we think of it in terms of like lighting a bonfire, the thought of fire, the idea that there should be fire, something luminescent and like glowing and warm and everything, that is the feminine energy, the one which creates that idea. The energy which brings together the wood, puts a structure to it and makes it actually manifest, makes that kind of idea of fire come into being, is the masculine energy. So if we are all creators, the energy within us, which gives us our imagination and it gives us our idea, that is our feminine energy. And what are the energies within us which can help us support that idea and that creativity into manifestation? That is the divine masculine energy. And there are very clear demarcations of them. For example, it is believed that while the masculine energy is about coming to a closure, coming to a conclusion, because if you're building something, you need to have that kind of clarity. The feminine is about continuous flow and going deeper into what is more. She wants to find what deeper layers of knowledge and feeling and flow are there. So basically, the divine feminine and masculine are not about gender. Even in our goddesses, I feel, every time I heard all these talks from you wonderful people the last 3 days, I really found the masculine energies and the feminine energies very strongly present in all goddesses.
So, Jan, here is a question from Pranjal Shah. Why did you choose Shashtima as your topic of research? Sorry for not being understandable earlier.
Well, I thought this story was very interesting, and it had many different dimensions to it. And that's why I chose Shashtima and those particular dimensions that pertain to Shashtima, because there's Basik Bhat and there's Saraswati Puja and so many different things that's what I decided to relate.
Here is another question. Why does Janet not refer to, say, a symbol that is about the wheel? Why you do not like the word symbol for a wheel or any other way?
Yeah, because I think too many Indic traditions have used the word symbol. This symbolizes that. This symbolizes that. This symbolizes that. Whereas I think it's multidimensional. It's not that one thing symbolizes another thing. It like, for example, the wheel, the whatever it is that is on the wheel goes fast. So the labor should go fast. This is one of the very important things that I think people don't understand about Indian culture, is there are multidimensional ways of understanding things. So it's not that women worship the wheels just because it's a symbol of labor going fast. It's rather, what can I say? It's rather multidimensional. That's why they understand, they have seen that the wheel goes fast. It's not a symbolic association. That's what I would say.
There is another question by Sheetal Bhan. Sheetal Bhan is, could we draw parallels between human birthing process and the internal creative process?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's certainly true, that the manifestation, women's ability to manifest a baby is certainly analogous to, and I use the word analogous, not the word symbolic, because it's analogous to the creative process of women or of men or whomever.
There is one more question by Meenakshi. Is women's energy and men's energy different? I don't know if this needs to be answered, but I thought.
What a question. I think that creativity is there in both men and women. And women can manifest babies. Men, as of now, have difficulty in manifesting babies. But I think creativity is a question of manifesting, of manifestation. What is internal becomes expressed, becomes expressive. And I think that capacity belongs to both men and women.
A reference or story, myth about buffaloes being ugly, and said she found it very racist.
Stella, I mean, frankly, that's just my opinion, that it's a black and it's hairy, and it's just what I feel, because it's not used in rituals at all. What is the reason for it not being used, the milk not being used in rituals, and why is it demeaned so much? And I just feel it has something to do with its color, because India being, the society that it is. And where the reference is concerned, Stella, that is also something that I read in a secondary source. It's not like in a primary source. At least I can't locate it right now. That's the problem,
The buffalo is the vehicle of Varahi.
And also of Yama.
Of Yama?
Yeah, so then Yama, see, the thing with the Yama is the god who comes to collect you after you have died, or basically causes your death, a cause of the death. Yam is the god of death. So it's very telling that the buffalo should be his Vahan, because, you know, buffalo is also connected with that. Yama is not really a god. If at all we look at him as a deity, he is, you know, someone who is feared so much. So I'm not saying, it does show the importance. Pardon? So I need to look into this to see if he's actually considered a deity, main god. I don't know about that. A deity, yes. And I haven't actually done enough research on Yam. But I do know that his Vahan is buffalo, yeah.
Another thing is that we were talking that the buffaloes are in these muddy waters,
yes,
by the end of the rivers. Tell us more about that.
Yes, actually, I did mention that in the talk also, that it's the marshlands. And, you know, this is like the Ganga, you know, in Bengal and Odisha, in the littoral, the coastal areas and the marshy areas. And that's probably where the buffaloes were first found and which were first encountered by the Indian people who were coming into these areas, where there were already people living there. They probably had a cult of the buffalo. But when the new people came there and encountered them, they must have found it a very unusual beast. They were not used to it. You don't hear of the buffalo, for instance, in the Rig Veda, and you don't see him therefore in any kind of, you know, the sacrifices for the goddess are all autochthonous. They have a very strong autochthonous element rather than, you know, something that is there in the Brahminic, you know, and that the Brahminic culture adopted them, yes, through Devi Mahatmaya and other texts like that.
But
so the buffalo,
no, but they have in the Rig Veda, they were sacrificing horses.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I said buffaloes. I said buffaloes are not found.
Okay.
Yeah, horses, and we find them in Indus civilization. I kept telling you about the horns in the Indus. But then suddenly in the Gangetic areas, we don't find buffaloes as such. So, and they come up much later. Like, that's why you start seeing the plaques and you start seeing the mention of them in the text later. It was an adaptation of a cult and of a traditional belief of people who were probably getting Brahmanized eventually. Not, you know, not all together. And their gods and goddesses are therefore Brahmanized as well, through mythology and through sculpture and through giving them legitimacy through Sanskrit, the language Sanskrit also.
And you were saying that probably the people that arrived to this muddy area, this delta of the rivers, they confront the buffalo, and then that probably those people were very happy and maybe worshiping the buffalo, but that the Brahmana,
a conflict, yes, definitely a cultic tension between the two. The buffalo worshipping people and those who were worshipping other gods. And that's how they brought this whole idea in and of the goddess. And you know, tribal areas where women had a lot of, probably were taking part in many things like, you know, even calming down the buffalo. It is possible that there were actual women who were doing that with the buffalo. That's how you had the whole idea of the goddess, of a woman doing it, of a woman calming down the buffalo or killing the buffalo. We don't know. It may be a tradition. But there's no doubt that in Kamakhya, even today, the buffalo is sacrificed. And the head is then given on a yupa, on a pillar, to the goddess. It is there in the villages, it is there in small areas, big temples like Kamakhya, Kali temple, and it has been banned, but it is still there. Culturally, it's not going to be easy to get rid of, and it's very much part of the culture in the eastern part of India, definitely.
But I have seen something in some temples of Kali where they sacrifice ghosts, that they wash the ghost, they put flowers, they really take the most beautiful of goat, that the most beautiful little black goat to give to the goddess, but it's very beautiful, and they put flowers, they adorn the animal before being sacrificed. So it's also like choosing the most beautiful thing in order to give to the goddess.
Yeah.
So is there
we can look at the buffalo as being most powerful. Maybe not most beautiful, but even that was just my own opinion about it. I said it half tongue-in-cheek, but I do believe it also. That's just my opinion. But I feel that maybe it is because the buffalo is so powerful and so strong. He represents tamas. So out of the gunas that are just in the, you know, sattva, he represents the tamas. And lethargic. This is how even Kosambi has talked about him. Historians have mentioned that he's considered very, now I'm remembering that many historians have said that just being an ugly animal, and I was quite surprised to find that Kosambi and all are talking like that about the buffalo, but they did. Lethargic looking and not very active looking, and, you know, because they're trying to look for a reason why the buffalo has played such an important role in being decapitated and by the goddess.
We started in the beginning with our meetings by Zoom, and we were so fascinated because all we have different ideas and knowledge, different levels, and all these came together, and it was an amica that suddenly said, why we don't do this public? And we started to think that maybe other people will be interested in this theme, and we have seen that it has been the case with all these days of this web seminar. So thank you very much to
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all.